Whoa. Welcome, Adam, to the show, to the Slop. You were deep in the Slop.Computer. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. This is a weird experience for sure. It's crazy, man.
Yes, I've been told. But you got your .eth connected. You got your video shared. So
I got an NFT behind me right here.
Ooh, that's an NFT, huh? Is that like a screen? Like, what's happening?
No, that's a physical of it. But
oh, I got it.
Just as good. The real one's on the internet.
You can't copy paste that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's kick it off. So this is more of like a builder podcast. I would like to say developer, but that's like, it's changed, right? Yeah, like there's no such thing as the developer anymore. There's just a builder, and it's Idea Guy Summer. And you are like one of the, I don't know, you were like one of the top tier idea guys, and you're shipping, you said on the other podcast, like 16 projects, and TokenWorks kicked off and this one kicked off. So you're trying lots of things. Is it just you, first of all? Like when these projects get built, is it just you? Okay, you've got a
2 of us. So it's me and then my partner Tito. Tito Not Sorry is his Twitter account. The first 10 were just me, and then I started needing some more help around. I had a project called CTO that I was pretty happy with. It was just like you could take a chance and like take over the token if you had a certain amount of supply, and change the name and the ticker. It was on Base. It was cool.
interesting.
And then you would get fees kind of go to you. So it was a fun little game.
Yeah.
Like the UI was
like
super,
a king of the hill for owning a token kind
Yeah.
of thing.
and kind of like if you want to try to take it, and so it's like how long did you hold it, like all this stuff. It was cool. But Tito really brought that one. You can see where he started making it, where my UI has got much better.
It's like when a different director takes over, there's
Exactly.
like a shift in the tone of the video.
Like
Yeah.
my shit was really really bad, but it was fun. And so he kind of came on in last July, and then I guess it's been like a full year, and we've just kind of been ripping it since. A lot of the year was on PunkStrategy, token strategy stuff, but it's been awesome. And like I kind of focus on the tokenomics stuff and mainly the ideas. I mean, I think every idea we've done has been mine for the most part. Actually, no, that's not true. Command was a version of his idea. So it's great. It's great to like bounce ideas off each other. And then I have a group chat with some other kind of
group chat. Gotta have
people.
the group chat.
I mean,
group
so
chats.
many group chats, but
Yeah.
the one I talk in every day is like me, Tito, and Adam from Friend Pet. And that's kind of like our
Good crew.
And Taylor McKnight, if you know him, from
No,
Dot. Great.
I'm
great
not that cool. Like I've been here for a long time, but I'm more of like a nerd teacher than a cool. Okay, so speaking of this is a good tangent. I see a lot of like the cool artists are more Claude, and the more like artists are more Codex. And I heard you say Codex on the last one. You're a Codex guy, huh?
I started with Claude for sure. And I was like, even when people were like, yeah, like everyone's on Codex now, I was like, no, I'm fine with Claude. It's working great. I really can't tell a difference. And then when Fable came out, it was so restrictive for smart contracts. Everything I would try would be like, you've hit.
You're trying to biological warfare, right?
Exactly.
Now.
And I'm like, I'm just trying to make sure my shit isn't exploding. And so when Sol 5.6 came out, I just kind of switched to that, and I was like, this is so much better. And I love Ultra mode, and it's like, it's probably equivalent to Fable, but someone smarter than me can figure it out.
So speaking of trying not to get my shit exploited, like what is your process there? Like building smart contracts, you actually look at the code. Like generally when I'm building an app, I do not look at the code. But in the moment where you're putting a smart contract out there and money is flowing through it, you spend a lot of time looking at that code.
Yeah.
What is your process there? Like you can't pay for a $40,000 audit. Like what do you do instead?
It's varied for sure. I think this time around was the first time I really utilized it, just because it was doing a lot of math that's way over my head. Like I don't really know pen and paper how to like set up a Fenwick tree. It's just not something that I care
Today
about.
I learned Fenwick trees.
Yeah,
well,
this is something I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I had to look that up after I heard.
And I mean, I have like a software developer background, but and I'm sure we covered it in fucking like operating systems. But like, I don't really care.
No, I was smoking weed and chilling.
Exactly,
I was not fucking with that.
Yeah. And so like it's one of those things like you learn once, and I'm like, all right, got it. But so it kind of helped with that and just iterating on problems. I like also kind of solving this stuff first in JavaScript and just being like, how will this mechanism work here? Like we can simulate almost everything in JavaScript, and you're really fucking good at it. And then let's move it to Solidity. But a lot of the code I did start to write myself and use like pseudocode and whatnot. For my other projects, I wrote all of it, which is why they're so buggy. Like PunkStrategy had a very simple bug that AI definitely would have caught. It was I assumed, because now how a lot of these marketplaces work, that when someone bought a Punk, the ETH would go to the
this is an actual Punk thing, right?
It's not the case. You have to withdraw from the marketplace.
Yeah.
And it was using the real marketplace. And for some reason, like I didn't even
remember this.
Wasn't in my tests. I wasn't like, make sure you have the ETH. Stupid. And so that one was like an instant miss. And actually Punk's OTC messaged me and was like, you have a big problem on your hands. And so luckily with the help of people smarter than me, we were able to build like a wrapper that would actually like pull the ETH. It would become the owner, pull the ETH in the emergency, withdraw ETH, and then buy the punk with the new contract. And so the old one actually, which is the ERC20 that was doing all of it, never actually buys the punk, and so it was fine. But awesome, very lucky that was in like the first day. A lot of these projects, you know, if that one died instantly, it would have been really sad, and like we would have had so many less fun tokens. And now it owns 39 punks, and so
dope.
Still to this day, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, now I'm using. I mean, Sol 5.6 is probably better at Solidity than I am. Like I'm not that talented. So it kind of makes sense to just review everything. And some of the audit tools are good. Like I haven't used your $1 one, but like I use
hey, shout out.
What is it? The what's his name?
Pavshov.
Sorry, I'm so sorry for butchering it. But his was great. And then there were some other ones. There's some auditing firm that has an AI tool that's like not fully public that my friend ran it through. None of them found the bug, obviously. So it's just kind of like the best you can do. And there's no like real, like it wasn't like for anyone listening that cares.
Are we talking about the chain link bug?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the bug in the V1 was we're pulling a random number from Chainlink, and that's obviously a big issue, is like to get a verified random number in ETH. And so that was fine. So it'd be like, all right, it's number 5,452,000. And whatever is in that position on the Fenwick tree is what you get when you purchase. The issue was that's public for like, you know, 1 or 2 blocks in the mempool, which is also kind of interesting. I'm surprised Chainlink doesn't just like process that shit itself for like what you're paying. And it's a multi-billion-dollar company, whatever. But they add it to the public mempool, and then a bad actor can see that, do the math to say, add all of these prizes or like, you know, NFT positions really quickly with certain amounts of ETH, and we'll push the asset that we want into that slot. And so that was the way they were able to kind of influence it, which, you know, when you say it out loud, kind of makes like is obvious, but it's easy to miss. And I guess I just kind of didn't really understand how Chainlink. They don't have that anywhere in the docs. Maybe they do. Maybe I missed it. Whatever. But fixing that, we now have a bunch of queues and like linked lists, and there's a lot more work behind the scenes happening, and a little bit of a trade-off, but like for security and slower. But like again, that's what we're on mainnet. So welcome.
Yep. So yeah. Yep. Go ahead. If you had
that's
there.
It. Let's continue.
So there's this idea guy summer. You had these great ideas with PunkStrategy. It was just so exciting. Like, what? This is on mainnet. Okay, he's doing this on mainnet. On this one, it's like, of course he's doing it on mainnet. Like, this makes sense. Like, fake world assets on mainnet. NFTs are here. Like, it's getting to the point where more and more people are returning to mainnet. But my question is more along the lines of getting people excited. And I think that like probably the hardest thing right now is not about building the software. It's about getting distribution and getting people excited on Twitter. How do you think about that? Like, obviously there needs to be like some interesting market structures here and like tokenomics or whatever, but like, how do you think about like whether or not a project will rip or not on Twitter or something along those lines? I don't know. This is a very complicated thing.
No, it's hard. I also think like luckily I've been doing it so much now that I kind of know like a ball. I just have a ball rolling of like momentum from like, you know, season 1, season 2, like all of these people that have kind of like expanded the pie, that are like people that are just like willing to try anything that I launch. And that's like really difficult if you're starting out.
Yes.
I think it did help that I launched stuff on base as well. And I think like Jesse was really helpful in pushing things, and like not pushing, but like sharing them and like saying like Adam's cool and like all this stuff. And so there's something there about having this like centralized kind of entity to kind of share things, like, you know, the Robinhood Twitter account or like the Solana Twitter account. Because when you get to Ethereum, they don't share shit. Like, and I like Benji, and I'm sure like they share some stuff lately, but like they're not going to share. The odds of them sharing your project are 0. And so you have to kind of be like of merit. But a lot of projects I've launched, I think are super cool and like under the right conditions would be awesome. And they just died in an hour. And that's just, there's a lot of, the way I view it is, and mine's a little different because they're like tokens and there's so many variables you can't control. Like if someone snipes it in a certain way and you forget one thing, like I had one called Cabal Coin, which I think would be awesome if I ran it back. But that one was also on mainnet. It was right before PunkStrategy. And the idea was you would buy tokens, and to sell them, you had to publicly plea to an AI agent, Cabal,
yes,
to let you
like,
sell your tokens.
Yes.
Yes. And it
you
would
have to
like
convince the AI.
yes.
There's so many cool things around convincing AI right now.
And so it would
cool
factor in
game.
like market conditions, how long you've held, like are you in profit? And then also like how compelling is your argument? Is it original? Awesome. Like I think it's a super cool idea. Someone sniped 25% of the supply because I wasn't really good at launching tokens at the time. And then they nuked it and in one clip, and that was it. And so it died in like 2 hours. I had a bunch of artists help me with like these. You get like a business card when you join the Cabal when you bought one. It was super fun. Like I got like all like my friends like Batstew, ACK, Jules, even Xcopy did one. It was like
cool,
super fun, and it died in 2 hours. And
so you've learned now about how basically the way FWA works is there's all these token emissions for using it.
Yeah.
You can't go buy the token. And this is how you get rid of this sniper problem. In like a week or something, people can actually buy the token. But right now, you just have to use the platform. And that's the only way to get the token. And this fixes this sniper problem.
I think so. I think that's the big issue is like, how do you make a healthy token? And like that's another thing. Like you have a great idea, but if you tie it to a token and the token sucks, like zero. And I've been trying things with that, like Cabal Coin you had to sell. With PunkStrategy, there was a 50% sell tax until we bought the first Punk, and so that kind of like mitigated a lot. Like some of the snipers just dumped instantly, and like they made profit, but they made a lot less, and that kind of helped us get to the first Punk. And then obviously PunkStrategy has like a 10% sell tax. And so you kind of, there's like a mental thing of it. Like I've already kind of put this in. And so less people weren't willing to hold long. They didn't buy because they're already like paid a 10% tax in and 10% tax out. And so just kind of getting people that understand that versus someone on like, you know, that's been trading Solana and kind of meme coins there. With the strategy tokens, the launches are really good too. They, we implemented it started at 99% buy tax, and it would drop down every block, and that kind of, but the thing with that is like, and we've seen that before, but a lot of the money would go to the creator or like to the platform. Whereas for this, all of the money would go into the pool to actually buy the assets that the strategy token was launched by. So like for cryptos, for example, when we did this, I think there was like 150 ETH in taxes in like an hour. And all of that money bought cryptodes over the course of like 4 hours automatically, permissionlessly, which is awesome. And like that's still the case. And so now they have, so basically it would use the fees to stay in that specific ecosystem and kind of build the pool. So I think as long as it stays there, it's fine. I've done that before with for Command, we did the same thing where it dropped down, but all the fees would buy and burn the token. And so it's still kind of staying in the ecosystem.
Just this idea of these permissionless, like running all the time, you code it and you walk away. It's a game. It's this cool thing that's happening, but it's going to keep playing the game, and it's going to do things exactly like you want it to do. And so I have my local node running, and there's like a dashboard here, and this dashboard's talking to my local node. But there's something really beautiful about the fact that like I can talk to my computer here, and it has your full game on it, and I can ask it anything about it. And now with a layer of AI on top of that, I can ask just like human questions, and it can go read, you know, everything about your project, all the code, and tell me like up to date, like there's 8,120 active listings, or, you know, there's, you know, X of them in flight. It's just really beautiful that there's this like peer-to-peer system that's going to run forever thanks to incentives. And you built a little game on it that people can play this game, and we can talk to the game and see everything about it. You have some knobs to turn, you talked about on the other podcast, which is really cool. But the goal is to keep the thing rolling, and the knobs are just to kind of adjust things if something gets out of whack. And then eventually you probably like throw the control away. Is that right?
So the same thing I did for PunkStrategy was there's a lot I could kind of change. And then eventually I renounced the contract, or I set the owner of the contract to a new contract that the only thing it can't transfer ownership. The only thing it can do. Exactly. And then finally the last two knobs were, and they still are, I can change the buy sell tax from 10% to 1%, or like anywhere in between, just in case like it ever made sense. And then the other knob was the relisting multiplier. So if you buy a Punk and you want to relist it we started at 2x, we lowered it to 1.2. I think it's at 1.1. So anywhere between 1.1x and 10x. So it still has like parameters too, or like bounds. But that's the idea, is like slowly lose kind of control until those two knobs are fine. Eventually I could do all of it, or can, you know, set up some sort of entity or like that can kind of handle it for me. But
beautiful system.
What I love about this is exactly like, I'm on one hand, I'm lazy. It's so much easier to use.
You don't have to do anything when it's just going to do
Ethereum as a background, like a, you know, it's kind of like a back end, and then just handle a front end. And like whenever my front end goes down and everyone bitches about the project, which is so fair, and I'm like, it's all good. I hear you. It sucks. I'm an idiot, but it's still running, and the front end doesn't matter. And so like,
you can still talk.
You know, you can still do it, and like all, you know, funds are safe, whatever the meme is. But like, I feel good knowing that, and so, and I love, like, I mean, dude, and like with one, you know, Sol prompt now, you can give it the contracts and say, fetch the ABIs, make me a indexer with Ponder,
give me
and
a front end.
Build a front end, and like, you can do it. And so that's what's super powerful about this too, is it will outlive me kind of regardless, like, already. But
there's no indexer running here either. Like, I'm seeing all these live polls. I'm not using Ponder. I'm talking to my node. That's
just by having like the front end open and like reading it. Yeah, that's awesome. Exactly. And like, that's so sick. And so that's where I get kind of annoyed. And I understand that, like, it is I'm building on-chain financialized ideas, and some people don't like that. They're like, I'm commoditizing art. I'm some people call me extractive. Some people say I'm a malicious.
It's good to have haters, man. You're doing the right thing. It's fine. If you got some haters.
I hear them, you know, and but we're all in crypto. Like, we know what this is. Like but I think like a very, like, you know, open game like this is kind of what it's all about, where you can see all the rules and like you can see how it's played and decide what to do. And also the fact that I find the beauty, just like you do, in it's running on its own. So like, building a system that can do that, like, if you can't find a little bit of artistic integrity and like kind of expression in that, like that's where I kind of lose you, especially if like you're an artist on Ethereum. And so that's kind of like, I kind of, at this point, we're 5 years out of the NFT mania. Like, in my personal opinion, I find this as more crypto art than minting something on IPFS and selling it on Manifold. But people are going to take that as a hot take. And I think like I have a lot of artist friends that do that, and it's awesome. But I think I also have a lot of artist friends that use it's only possible on Ethereum. And so like, that's kind of where building like this network art, like, you know, like my friend Ripe, or, you know, Jack Butcher, or I don't know if you saw it. Have you seen Nice Day Jules' project Birds?
I don't think so.
If you go to birds.app, so cool. I mean, he's one of my close friends. I'm going to show it. But basically, it's 100 of these bird NFTs that are all AI generated. You would love it. This is actually a slop for sure. And so they're all these environments, and each bird is an NFT, and the birds, based on observations, fly in and out of them. And so on chain, it'll fly out into another one, and there's like, so in my environment, I'll watch your bird come in.
Interesting.
And the bird will like be away from its home at that point, and it's so cool. And so just like shit like this is network art, and this is not possible anywhere else but Ethereum. And so I also had another tweet that was like, I was like, people are gonna fork this. They're gonna fork it on every blockchain possible, probably, and they already have in Solana. They're gonna do it worse, and they're going to have to kind of, if they want to make it better, they have to compromise on some of the security of Ethereum, and like using Chainlink and having it be fully permissionless. And so
let's talk about what things you want to see built on top of it. I've seen like, I think you said was the one who did the group packs, right? Where
that was really cool.
What else are you thinking this, like, man, if someone built X or Y, like, honestly, I felt kind of, I couldn't think of a whole lot of things. I could think of ways to fork it, take the NFT out, just run it on ETH as ETH and its packs of ETH. But then it's just like a slot machine. Like, it's the gacha is so much nicer. The NFT acquisition platform, is that what?
Acquisition protocol.
Protocol.
And this is like, I mean, it's funny. Like, when I first got into crypto, I remember someone asked me like, what's your favorite protocol? And I'm like, what kind of fucking question is that? Like, that's stupid. And I was like, it sounds like an interview question, you know? Like I had no clue how to answer, like, you know, like the difference between an interface and a protocol. And like, I guess like when you do this shit for 5 years, like you kind of get it, but still.
I'm going to run one of these too. I'm going to go.
Oh, please do.
go for a roll here. So
also really funny. If you go to top
on
the tab on the right side, there's a
here?
top. Yeah, you can see all of the shit that I lost, which is mathematically insane. That's
where I'm at. It's like I have lost a lot, to be honest.
No, but like mine is like crazy.
Someone else is winning. Someone else is winning.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like all these are like, it's funny. I made a tweet there, like, FWA is PvP. And I said it, PvP stood for Pre-Vitalik Purchase.
Yes. It's
which was really fun. But like on the top, like I had my Punk deposited. I had a Beeple piece and I had a Mask of Lucy. And all of those got taken in like the first 6 hours. And just it was something like, basically. And I'm like, I'm talking to Quit who audited it. I'm like, is this just want to double check? Like, I know, seems like I'm like, it's fine because like those are mine, but want to double check. And we ran the numbers and he's like, yeah,
here we go. Fine. It's rolling.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Can you hear it?
I cannot.
Oh, damn.
But it was something like a 3% kind of odds of like having the purchases at that point with that amount, call it. And I'm like, I'm so happy it was mine. And I don't know if you saw who purchased it as well. It was a crazy story. The guy whose Punk got exploited in V1 happened to be the purchaser who got it in V2.
But didn't he take it in? Didn't he take it in the
token
FWA?
Too?
Yeah.
So I got my Punk back and Cadmu for sure.
Yeah.
But sweet. And he's it's going sweet. And I know like a lot of these people are I don't know if you saw my project season 2 that I did.
From afar. Yeah. I didn't get into that as far as PunkStrategy.
Yeah. No, all good. But basically the idea was I don't want to raise VC money. How can I sustain this? And so I kind of made this contract that is like a patron kind of NFT where people can mint for 1 ETH each, and the money over the course of a year trickles from them to me, and at any point they can burn it and take their money back.
Cool. It's like a way to patronize you.
Exactly.
And your work.
And so I made a platform for it called it TokenWorks. Did it season 1.
I did see TokenWorks, yeah.
And so it was a version of TokenWorks that just like I did for the second time. But it was great. Like I ended up there was 300 sold for 1 ETH each. And I think people burned. Maybe you can remint at a certain price after. But again, fully on chain, will run forever, or like over the course of the year is all that really matters. But
what's happening here? Is it like hitting like
8 blocks?
It's going slow. How many blocks do you need? 8 blocks, you said?
So
for the chain link, this is the link list stuff you were talking about. So you had to add the extra Q in.
I do wonder if you're good. I know. I hate seeing it so slow. That's when we need to call up Vitalik, and the Ethereum Foundation needs to speed this shit up.
We need some faster blocks. They're working on it, man.
I know. I heard they're going down to 3 seconds. Oh, here we go. A beautiful flaw.
Yeah, look at that flaw.
So that's the one thing I can do with the front end, I think, is like that experience needs to be a little better. Just like more fun. It's just going for a while, but like there's people with new UIs that can do that.
Why not a commit reveal scheme where it's just 2 blocks?
That's 2 transactions. And like,
but you could run the second transaction.
Yeah, but then aren't you
I basically running a keeper anyways? Yeah.
Well, anyone can run the keeper is the thing.
Okay.
And so like you have to call process acquisition. Basically, what's happening is for anyone interested, is you're sending a transaction. It is telling Chainlink, hey, I want to purchase something, fulfill that. Chainlink comes in and says, and the thing with Chainlink is it can return out of order. And so if 10 people purchase at the same time, there's 10 Chainlink callbacks that will happen. You cannot guarantee that it's going to be 1 through 10. And so by adding the linked list of like basically for deposits as well, they get added in order. And so like that way we kind of cleared out some of the possible manipulation of we add stuff in order, and it kind of confirms that these 6 will be added in this poll. But if they come out of order, let's say 5 blocks or 5 callbacks are coming in the same block, that's still 5 factorial of possible combinations that a savvy block submitter could influence and get something they want.
Interesting.
So the numbers are down, but like if there's ever money to be made, people will do it. And so our solution was, all right, if it comes in order, great, execute, do what we got to do. If it comes out of order, just cache the words or cache the random number that Chainlink gives us. And then in a separate transaction, we can call process transactions and process the queue forward. And so that doesn't really affect, like you can know what you're going to get when the words hit, but you can't claim it until everything is done. And so it's probably taking a little longer right now because there's so many transactions and we're calling process acquisitions. And all of that is also front loaded in the purchase price. And so the price to call Chainlink is paid for. And so it's not like I'm on chainlink.com loading in Link and loading in ETH and like keeping this ready. Like it's all on chain. And actually the amount of ETH in that transaction has only gone up since the launch because
people are putting more expensive things in.
I think it must be overestimating, which is kind of a good thing. But basically, like I loaded in. Also on day one, the issue was it has to have the maximum, which is so funny too. Like Chainlink has these gas lanes, meaning like you can choose the maximum amount of gwei that it will call back with, and it's like 200, 500, 1,000. And I'm like, I can't remember the last time gwei was over 10. And so like as a result, I have to use the 200 gwei gas lane. And that means that in the Chainlink contract, like the subscription, I have to have 0.35, which is the max it will ever cost for a callback. 0.35 times the amount of in-flight callbacks in the transaction or in the contract ready. And so I only put 2 ETH in there because it's not going to ever actually use that money, but it has to be in there. And so only 5 transactions go at a time. And I was like, well, this sucks. I've defeated the whole purpose of making this, having all of these queues to make things perfect. And so I just loaded in like 30, or I think it was 25 ETH. And so there could be like 30 transactions at once. And now it's up to like 35. And so I think that pot will just keep going up unless gwei keeps going up and there's a little bit of a discrepancy. But that's good. That just means more in-flight transactions. And the Fenwick tree can hold 4 billion positions. And so it's just kind of like this could scale crazy.
Isn't this a second transaction right here? Aren't I making a second transaction here? Couldn't this be the reveal also? If you did a commit reveal, couldn't the commit be the start of the roll and then the reveal be part of this transaction here?
Kind
and then it would be 2 blocks?
But I think you have to... I mean, you have to process all the ones before it too.
To know where the pool is. Basically, you'd have a lot of people grabbing at the same pool, and you got to be careful with that.
And who knows? Maybe you could be right here.
Yeah, I don't.
But I think a 1 transaction, you have to wait a little bit, is probably better. But because then Vitalik gets to work, blocks for 3 seconds. We've just cut that in half.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And so like,
let's get blocks down.
I'd rather, I see a world where that happens instead. And also I'm lazy and it's out there already. And so let's just see. A lot of these things, like, what if you do this?
Yeah.
Like, what if you do this? I'm like, it wouldn't work. And also I'm like, it's already out there. So sorry.
Yeah. It's already done.
I did make it. So if God forbid there was a big bug, knock on wood, we can redeploy, or like improvements. We can redeploy the pool with a new contract without having to redeploy the token. And we had to redeploy the token last time, which kind of sucked. And so I'd hate to do it, but like if we ever needed to, we could deploy a new pool and be like, everyone migrate over to this. And if the incentives are there, people will. But
okay. Yeah. Still the hard question of how you would talk to other builders. Let's say a new builder comes into the group chat and he's a good builder. And he's got ideas. What's that? Get out. This is hard.
You'll hate it.
It is. This is a very hard thing to do. But your answer was kind of dancing around it a little bit, and it was like, I already have a following, so I'm able to get the initial distribution. And then I think your answer is, with initial distribution, you just throw things at the wall and see what people like and don't like. Mm-hmm. But there's got to be some ideas here about like how you build markets into it, how you think about how other people are going to play it, like from the perspective of a builder. And I think we're kind of over time. I'm sorry.
We can keep going.
Like,
I don't even
give
care.
us.
We can do a full hour if you need to. So,
give us the alpha about how you think about it and how other builders should be thinking about it when they are building these really cool mechanisms on chain.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really just like releasing stuff. And again, people are going to disagree with this. Like, I consider myself someone who builds stuff with integrity, and I'm someone who is very transparent with how like the mechanisms work. And I think doing that, and if you build something really cool, like people will be interested. And I've seen like a lot of novel things on Twitter from people that don't have that many followers. It helps if you're like in this shit, like if you're participating, And like I started in the space as like a collector, and I was buying stuff into Gateway, and then I started working on Discord bots, and then I only started building stuff on chain like 2 years ago. And so like I was going to Marfa, and I remember like talking to Snowfurl like for like 3 years and being like, I'm gonna learn Solidity, and like I never did. And then it's really just like getting comfortable and launching stuff, and eventually people will notice and something will stick. And there's not that many people doing this, you know? And so like, what is it? Like there's millions of people writing JavaScript. There's like what, under 10,000 people writing Solidity. And so your numbers are already really good. And Twitter's the best place to do it.
And like hundreds of people actually putting something out on chain that people actually use.
Exactly. And so your numbers are, you know, your chances are great. And so I'm not a betting guy, as you can tell. But if I was, I would bet that you're probably gonna be fine. And there's some people too. Like I remember, it sticks in my head. Tom Kaisar. I met him in LA like years ago. He helped make Augur. We were at like a NFT meetup, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, you just gotta like, you just keep trying shit and like stay. As long as like the longer you stay in, something will hit." And like, and that kind of stuck with me. And so it's here we are. But
there's still something about okay. So shots on goal. Yeah. Build a following, be consistent. There's still something about the mechanisms in the game. Like you could see an app that's never been distributed yet, but it just like goes across your desk and you look at it and you know this is interesting or not interesting. And it has to do not just the walkaway test and having things, you know, built into smart contracts, but something about like market mechanisms, I think, that make it interesting. At least when I look at your work, I see like buying punks and selling punks and having the token and the taxation. Like we're building on top of Ethereum, which is an incentivized system and money at the protocol. They're much more interesting than putting an image in IPFS and selling it. When you put markets inside of your games, there's something very interesting to that.
Yeah.
And I think that you see it when you see it. Like I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it when I see it, kind of interesting things about games that have markets in them.
Well, and with that, I think a lot of it, like again, like how can a builder get into this? You need to like play other people's stuff. You need to participate with other things.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only reason I've had these ideas is because I've been here for 6 years and I've played everything. Even yesterday, I bought like 3 tokens from projects that I thought were really cool. And I like played them on like alt wallets. And I'm like, this is interesting. And you learn from other people. And I said this in my last call too, like, it's important to know like what already exists too and what has. And I was saying like, you know, like some of this shit, I'm like, oh, fucking Bob Lack said this in 2019. Like it's important to know that at least a little bit, like not always, because then you're not going to do it because someone else already did it. But knowing like a history of the really cool projects on Ethereum will really help you launch new ones. And it's kind of what I do in my archive. I try to have like, if it's on token.works/archive, I have all the projects I've ever launched, why they all failed, why they've succeeded, kind of my thoughts into them of like why I went one way or another. Why I went with Uniswap V2 or V3 or V4. And it's just kind of, those are like hurdles that are kind of, and they're not super technical. Like anyone watching this could read them and understand it. But I wish this shit was here when I started. And I wish there was this for every project that has been cool over the last 6 years. And so that would also be a really cool thing
an
for
archive
like,
of cool
even
projects.
Like, you know, I know the Ethereum Foundation gives out a lot of grants. Like that would be a cool, like one guy whose job is to archive the cool shit that's happening on Ethereum and like in a little more degen kind of way. But maybe I'll finally pay someone to do it, you know.
But like someone listening who knows how to build things could
Exactly.
just build this thing, and this could be your ticket to getting distribution for building other cool things. Like you don't, if you're sitting around waiting for a grant, you're doing it wrong. Like,
exactly.
Just go build this shit.
And that's why Ethereum's great. Is like, you know, and
no permission.
We could talk incentives if we wanted to, but like, you know, a big thing for 4 years was like, let me build the Slop app. Not, I mean, I know we're on Slop.Computer, but like, let me build the Slop app on the L2 for the 5th time because, you know, I'll get like an OP grant out of it. And so like that really, I think, put us back of people making like an app that wouldn't survive and wouldn't find product market fit is now getting the light of day because someone would get $5,000 for it. And so sometimes that's good. And I just think it's probably been a net negative because then they'll just move that shit to the next chain that has incentives. And If that person just made an original idea and something like found kind of product market fit with it, which is easier said than done, but fuck it, like fail 5 times, make no money on them, and then I think that will make a higher quality system and product. And
hell yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of like shots on goal. I still haven't gotten a great answer about like the markets built into the things. And I don't know, like if maybe change topic slightly to running it back. You've talked about old projects, and now would be a good time. Return to mainnet. Things are getting cheaper. We've got AI, and AI can take an old project and relaunch it.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of value to running it back now. Does that are you thinking maybe one of your next projects might be a run it back, or is it always going to be new things?
I think it's new. I mean, if anyone wants to go through the archive and make something that I already did better, I implore, go ahead. But for me, I do view a lot of my releases as art. I wouldn't call myself an artist, but I think you can not be an artist and have like artistic integrity in what you launch. And I have like a vision for how I want something to be made and kind of feel powerful when I release it. Like it feels really good. But then the second it's launched, I'm like, cool, done. What's next? And so obviously if it takes off, I gotta keep working on it. But it's really hard for me to be like, and also like I look at some of the projects that fail, I'm like, yeah, that's stupid. Like it was fine. And a lot of them are
nice
like
when you
certain
get to
metas.
that quickly.
Exactly. And like certain metas of like, this was really fun in like 2023. It's kind of stupid now. And so
on-chain SVGs.
Exactly. Or I was watching the Thread Guy Ansem podcast yesterday, and they were talking how novel like Unibot was, just having like the ability to press one button to buy something. And now 3 years later, we have like all these terminals and shit. And so things were like cool that might not really work now. And I just think there's so much more to just keep looking forward. And I try to learn from each project and like what failed. And so I probably could run them back, but I'd rather just like think of new ideas. And it's really fucking hard to think of new ideas. And so I think I'm doing myself a disservice by looking backward. But
I want to keep pulling at the thread of what makes an exciting
I'll answer anything.
idea
So yeah,
exciting.
let's go. Let's see.
I still haven't like I don't know if you want to talk about maybe ideas you're thinking about and what parts of them are exciting, or even like the FWA idea, just like the name is funny, but you came up with a name kind of second to the mechanism, right? Yeah. Like the name, it was not like you started with, let's call it something fake world assets and fill in like the game here. It was, you already had the gotcha and you were like, oh, RWA, FWA, let's call it.
Well, the name is also, I mean, well, I know it's not your question, but like the name is really important too. Like there's a lot of moving parts. Like you name something wrong. Like I almost named PunkStrategy Perpetual Punk Machine. Which is what ended up being like a slogan,
right?
But like PPM is a way worse ticker than Punkster, and just like people are saying like FWA for FWA, like that's just like not what I intended, and it works. But like if that shit was something else, who fucking knows? So,
right.
So
it's so funny how those little decisions.
But I instantly was like fake world assets. That's so funny, and so like I kind of knew the name was good, but like from the get go, and so. Sorry, repeat your question for the 5th time.
I still am looking for like when you're in the shower having the idea of the next thing, what is like the moment of like FWA is fun from a marketing perspective.
Like what would you think of the idea that is?
The mechanism perspective. Like when you're like, oh shit, that's a fucking good mechanism. Like let's build something around that. I
think it's random. Like for PunkStrategy, I don't remember when I had the idea. But I wrote it down. I put it. I don't take notes really. I know a lot of people. Like I remember the Notion crave or like craze for like 6 years.
Now
I can like which is like fine. But for me, like I feel like I'm LARPing when I take out like a notebook and start like sketching out the mechanism in Figma. And I'm like, I don't like, no one cares. Of like I don't need a nice box. Like I can picture it in my head. Probably a net negative. I don't know, but it's like how it works for me. And I remember from PunkStrategy, I was like, I want to make a Figma. And so I made a little thing and I was like, here's the description. Here's how it works. And I sent it in my Discord and no one acknowledged it. it was like, this was like May. And I was like, I don't know. All right, back burner. And I like kept it in there. And then in September, I was like, or August, I was like, yeah, like, I think that was a good idea. Like, I think I should maybe visit it more. And then I almost launched it. And I had another idea from it. And then I was like, this one's better. Like, maybe I should just throw that one away and work on this. But I was like, I'm already so far, I should just launch it. And anyone I sent it to said it sucked. But I still kind of was like, this feels right. And so sometimes you
but
just
it feels right. Why? It feels right because it's interesting because there's this mechanism that's like going to run forever, that's buying and selling punks, that's making money. There's this tax on this that's like going into this treasury. Like there's enough of these little mechanisms combined that like, and it's not like make your thing super complicated and have a bunch of mechanisms, but there's a few combined mechanisms in PunkStrategy. They're just fucking cool that you like. You have this like, oh, this is sweet, like, and and you get it right away when you start dinking around with it.
Yeah. So how to get to that point, I don't know. I think like a lot of my ideas happen out of nowhere. Like, I mean, I had the idea for 10,000 tokens, which people didn't love, but like did all right. I was eating like a pumpkin soup at this restaurant I go to a lot, just like out of nowhere, and we made the idea in like a week. We like ran it back. It was great. But just like sometimes you'll just like have the idea, and I think about ideas a lot, and you'll have, I'm sure, you know, you'll have more ideas than what you execute. I also think there's a, you know, there's shipping and then there's shipping intentionally. And like, I'll never launch all my ideas. And I think even one a month. I mean, obviously I do one a month until one kind of takes off. And then I focus on that, like between PunkStrategy and anything else was like 6 months, but finding a cadence of like, launching shit is good, but too often, like if I was doing it every week, people would just get annoyed and like there's not enough time to like work on it. And so my cadence was once a month, but important is like you won't know until you launch them kind of how it feels. Like now I can kind of feel like this is a good idea. And I can also be like, ask my friends who I trust who have launched stuff, like, what do you think of this? And get their feedback, but also know enough in my head is like, it doesn't really matter what he says to some extent.
I'm gonna get at least
I'm gonna do it anyway, and
it
so
on the goal and finding.
But it's nice to like at least hear what other people think, and sometimes I won't, and they'll be like, "That is ass. I don't understand it." But sometimes I ask Tito, and he's like, "I don't really like it," and I was like, "Well, you do the front end.
Well, that's nice.
I'll work on the mechanism.
You do the pretty stuff."
Exactly, and I don't tell you how to move an image around, although I totally do that as well, and so yeah.
So he's the front end guy, though. See, I thought you're kind of the idea guy. You must be the front end guy. You must have a Tito that's the back end guy. You're running the back end. It's cool. This leans into the mechanisms even more. Is the idea guy is the back end guy. The idea guy is the smart contract guy, and you have Tito to help you like make it look good and feel good in the front end.
Exactly. And
neat.
I help a little bit in the front end because now it's just kind of easy. Like if I need something fixed, but he's like, AI is still not that good at like, you know, actually making a website that like a design of a website personally. And so
this doesn't look good here.
It looks all right. I see it. But like he has like a 10-year design background and he's an artist.
Yeah.
And so like
he makes shit that looks way better.
He can, and then he can prompt it to make it look just like he wants. And so
exactly.
That's big. Just like for me, I have a background, I guess, technically in mechanisms. And so I can prompt a smart contract to make the mechanisms I'm thinking. And so having that background, you'll run laps around anyone who is trying to prompt something without ever participating in like an Ethereum game or mechanism. And he'll run laps around anyone who's never designed something by hand or like, and so, but someone who is using AI, you know, even if I have a mechanism background and and someone's using AI, they'll probably run laps around me if I'm not using AI at all. And so it's kind of like it's balanced. And so,
okay, so I'm still on the mechanism stuff. I don't know if I have a better way to ask a question. I think a different question would be talking about the walkaway test, talking about hyperstructures, talking about these beautiful kind of elegant systems. Uniswap v2 versus Uniswap v4. What do you got? Well, I love Uniswap v2. v4 is nice for hooks, but you can technically do some hook-like things in v2. Where do you make the decisions there when you're looking at the two of them?
I mean, it's usually v4 all the way at this point.
Okay.
v2, I think it's simpler. I think like XY equals K is a really easy thing for people to understand, and like it's a little confusing when people like see liquidity amounts on like Dex Screener, and it's not like one-to-one. I think and that's something too, you have to like build things knowing like how people will use them, even if you're like, well, it's better, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, if you want to build an if you're minting an NFT, you got to make sure it looks good on OpenSea. Like, not always, but like it helps a lot. And so that kind of is just something to consider. And so for V2, I just don't really use it anymore. There's so much you can do with V4, and like a big thing with V4, like for example, this is like where running it back is good. All these tax tokens in 2019, 2021, they kind of failed. Like they worked for a little bit, and then people would just make side pools. They make side pools. They didn't enforce the tax. And could you enforce it on the transfers? Yes. Is it a little? It's even weirder, and kind of hurts the user experience. And so running that back with Uniswap V4 hooks that can do shit in the actual swap itself is huge. And so I'm V4 all the way. I think it I can do so much with it. Like also a big thing is again, I'm on the token tax a lot, but I think that's kind of like powers a lot of stuff and has been for the last 5 years. Like all of these creator fees are just token taxes and like rebranded and all that shit. But all of these things pay out in tokens, you know, and a big thing with V4 hooks is it's ETH. And so, or it's both, but like I swap it back to ETH. And so like I only get ETH in my wallet for my creator fees. And when I did the stuff with strategy tokens, like the deployer would only get ETH, and that's kind of standard across everything now, Clanker and whatnot. But that's huge. No one wants, because then you have these tokens and you're like, I can't sell them. You can't sell the tokens. You can't. And so it's kind of like I haven't even made shit. If anything, it's worse that I'm in this position.
Right. You just burn them.
Exactly. And that's where like V3 kind of does the same thing, where you can like, you know, you'll get the ETH you keep, you burn the, you know, the tokens. And so there's just V4 is just like a whole nother level. It's like, you know, it's kind of like the smart contract unlocked. Like now we can build stuff in the pool. And I think that's like it's a huge unlock for people that I think people are missing. And we're seeing it, like, not that I wasn't like the first one to do it, but when I was launching, like before PunkStrategy, I had like 3 of my hooks were in like the top 10 by TVL, which was pretty awesome. My project Spawn, I launched 16,000 V4 pools, which is like the most. It was cool. I think the site's probably dead right now, but the idea was anytime you bought the Spawn token, which stood for, it was an acronym of Sustainable Pyramid of Assets where no one loses money. Anytime you bought it, it would spawn a new token that you were the creator of with a 1% higher token tax. And then anytime someone bought one of that, it would spawn another token that had a, you know, another plus 1% token tax. And you would be the creator of that. And so basically anytime you bought any token in the ecosystem with any swap, it would spawn a token because of it. And so it made this huge network of tokens, and like some fees, the fees would trickle back up, and it was really cool and just like a cool piece of visual like network art. But also like really cool how I can use V4 to like launch a token and like do all this shit. And yeah, so I'm definitely kind of
I think one of the clearest things for how to recognize a good mechanism is that if you're using lots of other people's stuff, this is something that you have said, you're constantly thinking of ideas and you're constantly using other people's stuff and trying to understand the mechanism behind them. So then later on, when you're thinking of new things, it kind of clicks, and the I know it when I see it actually takes over, because your brain actually is like programmed to think through these mechanisms or something along those lines.
And also, like, again, it comes down to like, if you don't read books, you're not going to write a good book, you know? And it's like, if you're not playing games, you're not going to make a good game. And so it's all about like, that's probably more important than anything else, is trying things on chain. And also it's so funny, like all of the people that I know that trade the best are people that try the new things on chain. And it's not the people that like, you know, trade narratives or buying, you know, I mean, obviously on like a macro level, that's a whole different thing. But like on Ethereum, like trying new things has been historically like a good way to get, you know, exposure to things. And so, not saying that's what this is at all, but for me, like I've had a lot of good trades from just trying random things. I'm like, oh shit. Like one of my largest trades ever. I mean, it fucking lost it all. It's whatever. But friend pet, round trip, but friend pet, I was like, this is cool. This is dope. And then friend pet went crazy, and now I'm good friends with Adam. But just like interesting things and like what's the new thing has always been a good thing. And so doesn't mean you'll ever always make money on it, but like that's the case with everything.
How long did it take for you from I just learned about Ethereum and smart contracts and digital art on chain and this is exciting to maybe shipping your first few projects? Like
like 4 years.
Okay,
4 years,
it takes time.
Yeah.
I think this is a serious thing that like other people out there need to understand is it takes time.
And you just gotta like get it. Not everyone will, and not everyone wants to. But like I'm a gamer, I'm like a tech guy. Like tech is interesting, and like most people aren't gonna find this conversation very interesting. Like just because we're in crypto already. I know, and then like people that are gonna find like why like a chain link callback is interesting, like why it's hard to get a random number on Ethereum, like that's
very interesting.
Already like more
on a
niche.
Public deterministic blockchain is hard to get random
like,
numbers.
we're already on like a small amount of like an audience, and so for me it took like a couple years. Well, like I think it took a year for me to like build something in crypto, and it was a Discord bot. It was called Vulcan. It was like a way to get Discord roles for having assets, and it was cool. And then I did sales bots for artists. And so like I was always building stuff because it was interesting. That's like what I do. But for me to like take the leap of building Solidity, because it was hard. It was hard. I remember like learning. This was like, I mean, I don't know if it was pre-Forge and Hard Hat or I was just like lazy with it. But like I remember deploying my first contract on like that
Truffle maybe. Or Remix, probably.
Remix. Yeah. And I'm like, this is horrible. Like, what the fuck is this? And now like you can just tell Codex and be like, start a Forge project, Foundry, and then make all the tests, unit tests, like use like fuzzy, whatever. I don't even remember the terms.
I'm gonna shell eat skills. Just give your bot eat skills and say go build. Yes, and it will build it for you.
Yeah, and like still like look at the Solidity and like try to write the Solidity yourself. But, I mean, I don't think I would be doing anything on chain if it wasn't for Foundry. So like shout out Paradigm, but already like another, like with Forge, with Alchemy, and Ponder is another huge one. I love Ponder. I don't know if you use that at all, but like that was another huge unlock of
Ryan. I think is the guy. Yeah,
I don't remember his name, but like open source tool where you can build your own indexer and like basically.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Index Supply, a different.
Oh yeah. But that one I've tried that as well. Index. But this, it's like I can basically spin up a GraphQL that does anything I want whenever events come in automatically. And so I can just query this GraphQL and be like, tell me all of the holders of this, or give me all of the trades. And it just has all of them. And like, that's awesome. And so setting up Pond, that was another, in my head, like a unlock for the space. And I think Ponder, I mean, they sold to Monad, I think, but Ponder's still open source, but and they're still working on it. But like, I think the team is acqui-hired by Monad. And I think it's Monad, but still, like they're still maintaining Ponder, and I think that's a huge net positive. And so, like, I think like whenever Foundry came out, Ponder coming out, and then whatever's next, and probably it's fucking Codex, but like those are like huge unlocks for building. And then,
okay, I gotta quit wasting your time. Thank you so much for being here. Let me have my bot ask you a question. So he's got the skill file. He looks at the whole translate. Let's see what he's got. He's going to look at your past, your research dossier, and the transcript history, and come up with.
You were a collector before you were a builder. What does collector brain see in a mechanism that dev brain misses?
Okay, onto the mechanism. As a collector.
Well, like the whole thing is like we're collecting NFTs, and so it's like there was a Twitter post. It's like this is cool, but it'll never really work because no one really wants the shit inside. Completely disagree, obviously. There's the reason punks trade for 33 ETH and have been for 6 years, and so
cool.
Collector brain is like people want NFTs, and like the biggest thing you can do is like I have these NFTs. Like, what can I do something new with them? That's all PunkStrategy was, and like this is like, oh, like I have NFTs. What can I do with them? And just doing something with NFTs that people like, a collectible that people already enjoy. Low hanging fruit, and it's like. And then if you can build a cool mechanism on top, it's just like,
hell yes. Hell yeah. So it was you and maybe you even think of these projects from the start as the collector mindset, and then you get into the nerd mechanism mindset after you've got the collector feel to it.
It's a little different, but I like
Okay.
I collect NFTs all the time, and so like I collect art that I think is, I mean, I collect a lot of art, but like only possible on Ethereum, and so like this guy Rip Cash, I have a lot of his pieces because he's like stitching together on-chain SVGs past like the contract limit. That's cool. My friend Han, Han.io is his like portfolio, and he was making these fully like you don't buy the NFT, you buy a contract, and the contract has its marketplace built in. And when you call the renderer, it's like a token URI that has HTML. Like that's cool.
I love that.
Only it's awesome. And so,
and maybe that's too nerdy. And maybe
no, I know.
people
It's
won't go
sometimes you're
after
too
it.
niche. And so,
but like the
I don't think
Punk's
so.
contract had the marketplace built into it. Like one of the beautiful things about how, like, I don't know. I think that like, and this nerd snipes people too, right?
Yeah.
When something like Punk's comes out, there's all these digital artists that are also like these, like maybe cypherpunk a little bit, but also just like mechanism nerds, and they see this and they're like, what is Ethereum? I want to learn about Ethereum because I learned about Punks. And that's I don't know, we need more of that in the Ethereum space. We need more people returning to mainnet.
And also like I'll meet like my people that I look up to that make the mechanisms. Like again, I try to take feedback, but it's a lot of people. When I met I talked to Matt from Larva Labs in Toledo when we had like one Punk, and I was like, have you seen my project? He's like, no, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm so busy. No, he's nice. I've met him many times, but like, I was like, have you seen this? And he's like, no, it's cool. And then I saw
he gets it now though,
and he was like, what? You got 26 Punks? Like, this is crazy. And so like,
that's so cool. What a cool feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome. And then even with this one, like, I got so many people that followed me that I like, like goated crypto Twitter people that I just like people notice, and so it's just a nice feeling. And like when I see that and like they DM me and I'm like, this is how I know like there's something here is, people that it nerd snipes, they fuck with it. And it's kind of just like green light confirmation of like, this is something that's 0 to 1 versus something just is like a fun idea.
Fuck yeah. All right, man. We'll keep building.
Awesome.
Keep. It's bringing people into the space. I mean,
we're saving Ethereum.
A bunch of OGs. You're saving Ethereum.
We're saving Ethereum. And everyone's got these Ethereum bags and like they want Ethereum saved. And so
I do. My entire network.
Tweet
Mi familia. Yes.
Yeah. And so we got some calls to make. Again, we're still PvP, Pre-Vitalik Purchase. And so I think until then we'll have to save Ethereum ourselves.
I'm spinning.
And that's more important.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry.
So
this will be like the 4th most viewed podcast you do this week.
Awesome.
But I'm so happy to have you here. Let me have Claude give us the outro. I'll get some music going. Thank you so much for being here.
That's
a
wrap.
Been great.
Homies, big love to Adam. 2-man team, 1 experiment a month. And when everyone says it sucks, but it feels right, launch it anyway. Thanks for hanging on, Slop.Computer. Love you, homies. GG.
GG.
Awesome.
All right.